I'm your host, Andy Zambito. I'm the Chief Sales Officer for the Americas at Creatio, and we couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. So for the first session, I'll be joined by Catherine Kostareva, CEO and founder of Creatio, and we'll be covering hot topics that were surveyed from across 1,000 decision makers of folks that are either using low-code, no-code today or considering using it across over 90 countries and 10 industries. Thank you so much for joining us today, Catherine.
Excited to be here today, and welcome everyone, and thank you very much for joining us.
Wonderful. Our second session will be joined by Mike Uden and Alex Petronenko, our product and technology evangelists, to take us through both all of the new releases and roadmap features, but more excitingly, an actual live demonstration of our latest release. So I can't wait for everyone's feedback on that. In our third session, we will be joined by three industry analysts and leaders: Rebecca Wetterman, CEO and principal of Valor; Barton Goldenberg, founder and president of ISM Inc., and of course, Brent Leary, co-founder and partner of CRM Essentials. This conversation will be sure to be enlightening, but we also encourage our audience to ask questions of these analysts and make it as interactive as possible. So a quick logistics item for everyone here. There is a chat window. We will be conducting polls during today's session, but we will also be fielding questions as close as we can to in real time. I apologize up front with the large audience we have. We won't get to every question, but we certainly can follow up afterwards if we have just a tremendous amount of questions in the log. And with that, I can't wait. Let's get started. So as we mentioned, this is our first annual State of Low Code, No Code survey. And so I imagine our future participation will only grow. But 1,000 leaders is an amazing way to start and give us some fantastic data.
And here we'd like to thank our partner community who actually helped us to run this survey across 90 countries. Among those 1,000 organizations that responded to the survey, we have Creatio customers, we have Creatio partners, but the vast majority of the respondents are people who actually never use Creatio, and then so that was really insightful for all of us. We hear about lack of alignment between business and IT. We hear about apps proliferation. We hear about lack of budget, and that was insightful to see actually in the survey that 43% of respondents believe that the core barrier of digital transformation is lack of skilled resources. This is number one obstacle that doesn't allow digital transformation move on and develop the organization.
Well, Catherine, on the next one, I found it fascinating that when analyzed for digital transformation, there was a famous meme that came out that indicated that the number one driver inside of any business wasn't any particular executive, it was the pandemic itself. I think these results speak directly to that, in that only 5% of participants actually paused their initiatives, whereas 95% either continued initiatives, continued planning and then going from the planning stage, and even 13% actually enhanced and accelerated. So while so many other aspects of business kind of went on a full delay or pause, this was the area that received the focus. It was just amazing.
Right, and as you know, my favorite quote from Darwin, if you go to the next slide, is if you don't adapt, like you need to adapt if you want to thrive and you want to survive even, right? That's why we can see the results of the investments into the innovations, Andy.
Absolutely, innovate or die.
Okay, out of 3 citizen developers, 2 people are IT related as of today: system admins, business analysts, software integrators, while only 1 person citizen developer is a business user. What this data tells us today, it means that when we need to build enterprise apps, and definitely we're talking about complex applications to automate complex business processes in the organizations today, still low-code, no-code platforms require some IT knowledge, some IT skills deliver the applications, because there are so many requirements, as we all know. If we compare an enterprise app and a simple app for the single business unit, we all understand that there are lots of additional requirements, like access rights, like interconnection between different business units, like connection with the in-house software built many years ago, integration with those software. So there are many enterprise requirements that currently need some IT skills to deliver on those requirements. And we see it as our goal to enhance the no-code tools in the low-code, no-code platforms to enable citizen developers from the business side, not from the IT side only, build their own applications on the platform. Let's look at some numbers. The demand for business applications today is 500 million applications in the world. At the same time, Andy, you remember the numbers, how many IT experts, any type of IT experts exist today, actually. It's 100 million IT experts. Out of this number, what are the number of software developers? Andy, do you remember?
I know it wasn't nearly enough.
Yeah, it's definitely not enough. It's 25%. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have only 25 million software developers in the world to build 500 million business apps. And there is no way that this number of business apps will be delivered with this number of software developers. So we see low code, no code is actually the only solution here. And currently, we see that 60% of potential users of low-code, no-code technology, they don't have skills and expertise. And we definitely see it as our job to evangelize and to educate on the low-code, no-code technology. And at the same time, look at this slide, 6% of low-code development is done by business users without any IT involvement. So we need to deliver more no-code tools for the business users to be able to automate their business processes without IT involvement. Because again, you remember this first slide, lack of skilled resources, that's the core obstacle, that's the core barrier. And actually low-code, no-code technology has been created exactly to solve this challenge within the organizations, lack of skilled IT resources, and give these tools to the business users to be able to automate their business processes independently from the IT experts.
Catherine, I think you've hit on a key topic, because I'm seeing in the chat there's a lot of comments on this. So one of the questions that came up was, do you believe, will no code completely replace low code in the next years? You've used both expressions. I think the audience would love to understand your position on that.
Oh, that's actually my favorite topic, as you know, Andy, because what we see today is that low-code platforms are adding more and more no-code tools, and at the same time, no-code vendors are adding low-code capabilities to give access to code if needed. So actually, the prediction from our side is going to be merge of these two technologies, low code, no code, into one. And we believe that the future name of that is going to be no code.
Excellent. Well, one final question on this slide in particular. It said that 6% is pretty low. Do we anticipate this number to grow anytime soon?
Absolutely, absolutely. So and again, that's what Creatio community is very much focused on, to give the tools to the business users to build their enterprise apps on the platform without IT engagement. So my prediction is that within 5 years, we're definitely going to go much higher than 50% of the software development is going to be done by the business users without IT engagement. Again, why? Just thanks to those no-code tools that have been built within the platform.
And I think as well, when we talked about expertise being the biggest blocker, it only takes getting experience once to remove that blocker and then start the snowball effect of business being much more engaged. Wonderful.
Absolutely. Yep.
Let's proceed here. So the top benefits of using low code, I think we often see literature talking about accelerated time to market and therefore reduced cost in the development. I thought this was a fascinating number, though, that only 5% of folks, which I guess because you're forced to have a bell curve to some degree, is representing groups that most likely are struggling with a number of technologies. But the vast majority, 95%, agree with this statement. And moreover, the majority, over 50%, saw almost a 50% or greater increase in their speed to market, with the long tail of this piece seeing greater than 100%, which I think is just, if this is the early days of this transformation, I can only imagine how this will only accelerate further, particularly with what you mentioned about low code and no code merging together.
100%. Isn't it amazing? Actually, these results are pretty fascinating, and the results our customers can see today, they are already very inspiring. I can tell you that we even have, Andy, one of the customers who defined as the KPI for their executives the number of business processes automated with the help of the low-code, no-code platform. So the goal is to automate as many processes in the organization as possible using those technologies.
Amazing. All right. So this one was super interesting to me because I thought for sure this would be slanted one way or another, but it turns out that folks that are embracing this technology or considering it are looking equally for customer-facing activities as they are, how they can streamline their middle and back office processes, while they universally felt that we were at the earliest days. So the potential that's perceived here is enormous, but the direction of it is equally split, internally and externally facing.
Exactly. You can't imagine, like, I've never known that there are that this type of processes even exist. There are so many unique business processes for different industries, for different use cases. And there is no way that all these processes will be automated with out-of-the-box software, out-of-the-box application. The only way is actually either custom development from scratch or low-code, no-code platforms. That is why here at Creatio, we're super bullish, if you will, about the future of the low-code, no-code technology. This one is my favorite, and I can share with you, like, if I'm allowed, my personal expectations from this question. We had kind of a gambling inside the marketing team and discussing what's going to be the final numbers here, and the numbers we eventually got are higher than the initial expectations. So ladies and gentlemen, have a look. 10% of the 1,000 survey participants believe that 10% of their business processes in the organizations have been fully automated, while 60% of business processes are partially automated and only 30% haven't been automated at all. So from one side, it's definitely a long way to go. And we do understand that the digital transformation trends and low-code, no-code platforms are just emerging and developing, and still it's going to be a long run from today. But from the other side, the results are pretty amazing already. So I believe having 10% of business processes fully automated, that's already a very good result. Andy, what do you think?
Oh, I agree with that, but I think that with how fast the pace of change is now, and the pandemic is a great example of that, of course, that even if you're fully automated today, you're going to have to modify that at some point going forward and have the mechanisms to do it. I think it's an amazing embracing of it that 10% have already done it. We have a few interesting questions that have come up that I can interject here. What are the best fit specialists to turn into citizen developers? And should citizen app development be one of their primary tasks?
You know what? I love the analogy we use very often inside the Creatio community, is that low-code, no-code is actually like Lego building blocks. And to build your own construction out of Lego building blocks, you don't need to be an expert. You don't need to have a degree. You even don't need to attend some courses or have a special training, right? You can just do it. And the whole vision of Creatio is to deliver a platform that allows you build your own apps without having any unique expertise? Well, if the question is, what are the requirements today, and can enterprise complex apps be built without any special expertise? The answer is probably today you still need to have some IT background as a business analyst, for example, but in the future, that's definitely the way to go. What do you think, Andy, about this one?
Yeah, I agree that this is not it's not a specialized task. That the most important thing I tend to find is that you have an understanding of the business itself, of the challenge or thing that you're looking to solve or automate, right? It is the core. In fact, when we look at the top trends, I think number one came down to operational efficiency. Well, I see that as the way to get there. It has to do with understanding the operations of your particular line of business, your interaction with the clients, the friction points in the business, rather than, in traditional IT development, translating business requirements to another set of skills that's going to execute and having that iteration. This is essentially eliminating that friction. I think
you work with customers every day. You have multiple different calls with different industries, different organizations, literally every day.
Yes.
What are your expectations when the low-code technology is going to reach its potential? I can see that this is one of the questions in a chat, but I honestly love the question. What do you think about it?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I see that we're at a tipping point for a cascade of this, right? Because with people embracing more technology in their daily lives and becoming much more comfortable with interacting with it, bringing that extension into the business to say when we go back to work, my drive into work, I have this brilliant idea. When I get to the meeting room and I get my team together and I draw it on a whiteboard, my expectation starts to become, well, why can't we empower this, right? I can do this in my daily life with all the things at home. Why should my technology at work be limiting rather than enabling? And so I see that we're at a critical juncture of people's expectations, their comfort with it, and their need and desire for that speed. So I think that we're going to see an ownership of taken on, and that will only accelerate reaching its potential sooner. So I don't think we're light years away. I think we're in the earliest days of it right now.
Right.
I don't know if you agree with that, though.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. I'm with you. It's very far from reaching the full potential of the low-code, no-code technology. That's for sure. And I'm sure that after the sneak peeks, everyone would love to download the report. Let's go to the next slide and just share this QR code for everyone to download it. And again, those were just a few facts that Andy and I decided to share with you during this session, and a lot more to come within the report.
Yes, it's very robust. We please encourage you to download it, reference it, use it for your internal projects. And as we said, this is an annual event, so we'll see the updates going forward. Catherine, there is an interesting question: is what do you see as the difference? I think you might be touching on this soon, but between low code and no code, as the difference between the two.
Sure, the users are different, and again, as the market is only emerging, and low code, no code is definitely far from being an established market. There are different definitions of the low code, no code, but here at Creatio, we believe the core difference between low code and no code is who are the users of this technology. Because in the case of the low code, the users would be IT experts, while in the case of no code, the users would be any knowledge workers, actually. And again, we all know that there are 1.7 billion knowledge workers in the world. So all these people can use low-code, no-code technology to build their own applications.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Well, let's jump ahead then and speak a moment about that, about our vision as pertains to. So we're shifting from the report about all the background information.
And one last question I can see, if you don't mind, in the chat, can I participate next year in this survey? How to enter this survey? Andy, would you like to address this one? That's a great question, just to wrap up the survey part.
Well, I will say that we can collect the contact information of all of the participants that have joined us and registered today, and certainly include them in the survey next year, and I'm sure we'll be publishing links to this on our website as well as releasing it to the industry. So we'll be happy to have as many participants as we can possibly have on a global basis across
Right.
all industries. I mean, that would make this more robust.
Right. And I just have to address this one. I can see another question. Will low code kill developers' jobs? Oh my gosh, it is such a huge shortage of software developers. Software developers, as we all know, are like gold today. And the prediction is that this situation will be actual for 10 years at least. And I honestly believe that much more than 10 years. So software development is the best job today. And when I'm asked by high school kids what I believe is the best job today, and which school, which college they should attend, my answer is always software development. That's I do believe that this is the best job because it's so much work in this digital world where we're rapidly moving, and thanks to COVID, we're moving more rapidly than any time prior to COVID. So it's obvious that software engineers is going to be the most popular job and the most demanded job in high demand within the coming 10 years.
Absolutely. I think that earlier stat you gave proves it, right? I mean, the demand outstrips supply so far at this day and age.
Right. Simple. Okay, let's talk about Creatio vision and what we're building here at Creatio, and that would be probably a nice transition to the presentation of our new big update of the Creatio package. So again, we touched this topic a little bit. Once again, just to summarize, we see that low-code platforms, low-code capabilities are built for the IT users. That's kind of rapid software development category, while no-code is definitely targeting business users. The challenge that Andy and I just discussed for 20 minutes is that when we build simple apps, it's the current no-code tools that are available on the market are more than enough to build simple applications to automate a simple use case for a business unit. The challenge comes today when we need to automate complex enterprise business applications that take into account use cases of multiple business units that need to be interconnected, and also integrations with all different in-house applications available right now. So these are the challenge, and we do believe that with time, the low-code, no-code tools will merge into one, because to overcome this challenge, what is happening with the no-code platforms? They are adding more and more low-code capabilities, and they are actually given access to code. While what is happening with low-code platforms, they are adding more and more no-code capabilities to give ability to the business users, to all those knowledge workers, build their own application using the platform. Here at Creatio, the strong belief is that in 5 years, any business application, any SaaS application is going to be built on top of the low-code, no-code platform. Not only those platforms going to merge into one, I mean low-code platforms and no-code platforms, they're going to merge into one, but also here at Creatio, we're building the capabilities of composable apps. When you take different apps, different features, different components, and you combine them the way your unique organization requires. So being able to create your own application from ready-to-use building blocks like Lego blocks, that's the future of the enterprise software. And at the same time, being a no-code developer and being able to do all that without deep IT expertise. And that's exactly what R&D team of Creatio is working on and focused on, just to create the world where everyone can automate business ideas in minutes. This is the vision of Creatio. That's how we see the future of low-code, no-code platforms. And we are very proud and very excited to be recognized technology that Creatio has built by multiple industry analysts, and we're talking about the platform itself, low code, no code, BPM platform as a foundation of all the Creatio offerings, and business apps built on top of the platform, CRM apps, horizontal apps, vertical apps, add-ons and templates, all these different kinds of apps that together with our partner community, we built on top of the Creatio low-code, no-code platform. So that's the marketing architecture, if you will, of Creatio. And again, if we move on with the slides, you're going to see that the platform itself, as well as the applications built on this platform, recognized by Gartner. Creatio is named a leader in two Gartner Magic Quadrants, and overall presented in 5 Gartner Magic Quadrants, as well as Forrester, 7 Forrester waves where Creatio, thanks to the apps built on the platform, is present. And what excites us more than anything is actually the reviews that Creatio platform is getting from our users on different websites and portals like G2, like Capterra, like Gartner Peer Insight. So if you use Creatio platforms, please share your feedback on those websites, and we'd love to hear your voice. And please believe us that customer voice, that's what Creatio development is based upon. Like, we get all this voice from our customers and partners, and that's exactly what we use when we define the future development of the platform, along with the product strategy that Andy and I just presented to you.
Catherine, there's a, thank you for that very much. There's a question that's a good one for clarity. It says, as we've talked about enterprise apps a lot, it says, are there any other use cases for low code, no code platforms besides building enterprise productivity apps? For instance, can I build apps for B2C users outside of the enterprise using this technology?
Absolutely, and again, as Creatio customers and partners know, we do have those tools like Portal, for example, Creatio Portal, to automate B2C use cases. We automate B2B2C use cases, B2G use cases, and that's actually the beauty of the low-code platform. That's why we're so enthusiastic about the technology that Creatio has, because you can build and automate multiple different use cases using this technology. And again, as survey showed to us, it takes on average at least 50% quicker time to market. And it's all like, in this world, it's all about acceleration, it's all about speed. We all know that. So time to market, time to delivery, that's the core component of any software development.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, not only is it from the portal side, but whether it's point of sale, there are so many interactions and examples that we see of our customers using this to interact with external customers, external partners, which are really a tremendous place to pick up productivity gains. It's not just the internal back office processes. And we saw earlier that about half of the applications from our survey folks, so half of the intention behind that is externally facing. So wonderful there. Let me take a moment just and thank you, Catherine, for helping walk through not only the survey, but sharing the vision of Creatio. We're super excited by the next portion, where we take all of the vision that you've just shared in that architecture and we unpack it across our latest release, as we're about to enter part 2, for those of you who are just tuning in, of our 3-in-1 exciting Creatio event. So thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you, Andy. And the most exciting part of the 3-in-1 event is just starting. Product demo and product presentation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. All right. Well, for those of you who are still with us and those of you just tuning in, as I mentioned, we'll be moving on to step 2, our major update, Creatio 7.18 release. And I'm going to be joined by 2 of my esteemed colleagues. So I'd like to welcome to the panel, we have Alex Petronenko, our product evangelist, and Mike Uden, our technology evangelist. Let's see if here we are, joining us right now. If you gentlemen would just take a moment and introduce yourselves to our audience, and then we'll dive into this second event. I'll remind everyone that we will also be monitoring the chat, and we will in fact be including a few polls for you to participate in as we proceed. So Alex, to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Andy. Thank you for the introduction. And guys, I'm very excited to be here with you today to announce and present to you the latest enhancement to version 7.18. And I'm joined today by Mike Uden. Mike, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm really excited to be with you today, guys.
All right, perfect. So let's get started. We've got a very exciting keynote to present today, right? And where we'd like to actually start is to, again, kind of cover the very basics of Creatio, right? And what is in our foundation of our platform, the studio Creatio, right? And this is what helps our customers and partners build their applications and build their business-focused vertical solutions. And of course, the studio itself consists of 4 key areas that help us to take the full cycle of application creation, from the process modeling and description to application design tools and creation of those apps, to as well administration tools to manage users and systems, and of course to run the whole side of application maintenance through application lifecycle management. And we as a vendor have a very clear and clean understanding of the strategy of how the development of our platform should be moving forward. And today, in addition to sharing the latest updates to 7.18, we would like to as well share with you our vision and our strategy of how the platform and the product is going to be evolving and developing and moving forward. So today we're going to be talking about 4 pillars of product strategy and roadmap for 2021, where we're going to focus on, first of all, the low-code and no-code tools for system design and configuration, and how this is going to accelerate the time to market, time to value for our partners and customers. We're going to touch upon and have a sneak peek of the composability elements of the platform and how exactly this is going to revolutionize the whole world of business application and enterprise application creation. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the product lab and people-oriented thinking in product design and how this is going to change the adaptability and adoption of our platform. And of course, finish with the marketplace extensions and strategy of development. So there are a lot of great topics for discussion. We really hope that you're going to enjoy all of them, and definitely stay tuned, pay attention, and ask your questions in the chat area so that we can pick them up. So at this point, I'm going to pass the floor to Mike, who's going to bring us through the low-code and no-code features of the strategy. Mike, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex. And let me start on and speak on low-code and no-code. So our platform is moving fast, and there are 3 major development directions: the evolution of design tools, ALM, and integrations. So to implement our product vision, we need a solid technological foundation, which will act as a force multiplier and allow us to move at the speed of light and scale as we go. And last year, or a little bit more than that, we've decided to gradually migrate and adopt our Angular as our primary web framework. Angular delivers the productivity and scalable infrastructure, and it is the best enterprise-grade web framework on the market. And as we started this process, we have got a great feedback from you guys, our users, and this baked our strategy and towards moving in this direction. And that's why we are decided we will migrate all of our design tools to Angular. We are moving towards the simplification, and we do everything to speed up application design process and to accelerate time to market and time to value. In the same time, we want to bring the best user experience possible. So we believe that this will bring an amazing experience to citizen developers and end users, and will completely change how enterprise create their applications. In the upcoming releases, we will allow create adaptive UIs, so citizen developers will have ability to create different layouts for various devices with ease of a few clicks. And once this transition completes, Creatio web app will be seamlessly accessible on any device, be it a web browser, tablet, or mobile. Okay, guys, so please let us know what do you think about us moving toward this direction, and we will come back to this during our Q&A session. And Alex, what do you think about the future of design tools?
Well, I think that this is absolutely amazing. This is definitely going to change how citizen developers, no-code developers of Creatio are using the platform and how they can actually bring all of the different elements together, right? And this is definitely going to be accelerating the design time and increase the ROI of acquiring, our platform. So there are great things ahead, and I'm very excited of actually seeing us reaching those moments and releasing this functionality.
I can share with both of you all. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat as well, and I've seen everything from comments of Christmas morning to hands up and hearts and tons of excitement about what you've already just shown here. And this is before we've even gotten to the live demo. So
yeah, absolutely. And this is how we feel with every minor release of our platform, right? So every feature, every minor thing that's going to be added is just like Christmas morning.
Yeah, thank you. So let's proceed. And in future releases, we will empower our users with a unified UI designer, a single place to create any user interface. And on top of that, we will provide a rich library of UI templates to make this process super intuitive and fast. So it is always easier to study by example than to start from a blank page. So a citizen developer will be able to browse various UI templates built in accordance with the best UI and UX practices and use them to accelerate application design process and bring the great user experience to an end users. We will also empower our citizen developers with tools to contribute to Creatio community and by sharing their own UI templates to our marketplace. All right, so the next area of focus is application lifecycle management, or ALM, which is the people, tools, and processes that manage the lifecycle of an application from conception to go live and beyond. So let's have a look at how ALM tools will look like in the future releases of Creatio. So this is an ALM control panel. It will provide a great visibility to the development process. So since the process is integrated, users can see what progress has been made, which steps still need to be completed, and how long things are taken. It gives a great visibility over all Creatio environments and applications. So our vision is to empower citizen developers with ALM tools to manage the entire application lifecycle, from concept to development and maintenance, and to make this process quick and transparent. It is beneficial as it gives a helicopter view over all of your apps, and at the same time, all important information like current environment status, app usage statistics, and everything is at hand. Using ALM, citizen developers will have ability to do various tasks like install new applications on different environments in a UI, manage users, create new environments, and perform some maintenance and self-service tasks. So to summarize, ALM will empower citizen developers to manage the entire Creatio application lifecycle and make this process quick and exciting.
We have a question that came through from Mike and Alex here that would be good. So composability, since Catherine mentioned that up front, and we've reiterated that that's coming up a lot in the chat here. Can we tell a little bit more about what it is and how app composability is supported in Creatio?
Absolutely. And Andy, I would actually like to park this question to our next major section in the presentation, because we're going to be talking about composability quite a lot.
Wonderful.
Right? And exactly what is going to be with Creatio products.
Excellent. Well, let's do it.
Okay, great. So let me continue on integration. So to remind you, our vision is to create the world where everyone can automate business ideas in minutes. And to achieve this vision, we need to empower citizen developers with no-code tools to connect Creatio with any application in the world. Currently, Creatio already has great no-code tools to connect apps using web services. So citizen developers, business analysts, and other knowledge workers can seamlessly integrate or connect Creatio to any other app in minutes, immensely shortening time to market. And our target is to close 90% and more of all integration flows with no-code and low-code tools. And to achieve this vision, we want to introduce webhooks. So what are the benefits of webhooks? Creatio will provide any application with a real-time data when it appears. So for example, once order is processed, Creatio will notify all subscribers like fulfillment app, analytics app in the real time. And in the same time, Creatio will provide a no-code wizard to configure endpoints to consume webhooks from any other applications. So, and this great new feature, along with existing great integration tools, will help us to achieve our vision to give a platform where all integrations can be done and designed with no-code and low-code tools in minutes.
All right, perfect. So, Andy, I think we're going to take a little pause here, and what we'd like to do is really hear from our audience through a quick poll on what functionality of low-code and no-code platform design is most exciting to our audience, right? So if it's the design tools, if it's the application lifecycle management, or new, kind of strategy into building integration. So if you could just help me run the poll real quick and then see what our audience thinks.
Yeah, absolutely. So I encourage everyone, you should have that poll on your screens. Let's please go ahead and respond. It'll be interesting to see, gentlemen, I know we ran a similar poll internally when we were sharing this to see how our audience feels.
Yeah, so, and how do you actually feel about this question? What do you think is going to be the most interesting to our audience?
Well, I guess it depends on if we have more, folks from the partner side or the community. I think design tools is fascinating. There's a lot of excitement I can tell in the chat already about the UI, the look and feel, the ease of that. So that may be a winner, but we'll see. I think this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I can see from the chat that people are struggling to choose just one, right? Because, as citizen developers, as IT folks who work with design tools quite a lot and with all of these areas, right, everything is quite exciting to them. So I'm pretty sure that they're struggling to choose the favorite child, right? And have to sacrifice for the other ones here.
I'll have to ask a little help from our team here is to give results as we go through this. Maybe we can field a question while people are doing this too. So will ALM in 7.18, will that really simplify the move from number of environments is a question. So a technical question for us.
Mike, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So the ALM, the part of ALM will definitely, is our vision, the part of ALM should simplify the whole development process as a whole, because everything going to be integrated in a single place. So they're going to be much easier to, to manage the whole process and to make it as easy as possible and assign a single place to create new apps and deliver during this using these great tools.
So I will share out with you right now. It looks like design tools ran away with it right now at almost 54%. We had about 15% on ALM and 30% for integrations. I don't know if that aligned with your expectations, but certainly I like that there's a mix, that people see value across all of these. But I think design tools is just a very powerful screen visibility, right? It's harder to see in integration.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, if you kind of take into account how much our users love our design tools that we're using right now, right? Can you imagine how they're going to be thrilled to use them as they're going to be gradually released into the platform?
We'll find out.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Please.
All right. So I think we can move forward at this moment. What do you think, Andy? Or do we have time for one more?
One more question?
Yeah.
So the tablet app, they're asking about that in that mobile application in the browser. So a lot of questions, I guess, around how this will all work for when you talk about different platforms and devices that people will be utilizing.
So I can probably take this one, right? As you guys know, we already have our own native mobile application for iOS and Android devices, right? But also the strategy here is to make the application accessible through any application, even without the use of a native mobile app, right? So to deliver adaptive UI across any form factor. So if it's going to be a mobile phone, if it's going to be a tablet, or classically just using the desktop application. So this is really where we're moving, right? Just so that you can create specific user interfaces that are going to be suitable for any device being used by the end users. Let's put it this way.
Wonderful. All right. I think we should proceed. I'll monitor for more questions as we go.
All right, thank you, Andy. So we're going to continue with the strategy of product development and our roadmap for 2021. And the next area that we're actually moving into is composability specifically, right? This is why I actually kind of parked that question, because it was the next topic that we were going to discuss. And when we think about composability, and Catherine introduced this idea during the first session on our events, when we think about decomposability, we're thinking about taking different pre-built blocks of functionality and mix and matching them all together. So the strategy here is, imagine where our customer or partner can actually take any area of functionality that has been designed by Creatio as a core capability, or something that has been developed by a partner and is available in our marketplace, right? Or maybe this is an add-on and component that significantly increases the usage of the application in general. So take all of those different applications, pre-built components, connectors, and create your own application in a matter of few clicks and a matter of minutes. So use those Lego blocks of functionality to build your own Creatio, right? And build your own application that is going to be extremely tailored and extremely specific to the use case that you're looking to achieve. And this is really what we think behind composability, right? To allow our customers to actually take a combination of different components that are going to be available at the starting point of using our platform, right? And then browse through what is available in marketplace or provided by us, mix and match them together. Of course, we're still going to allow the creation of applications from scratch as a blank application, or to create an application based on a spreadsheet structure, right? And then continue extension and continuous improvement of those and tailoring of those with the design tools that we have covered previously. And this is what is really going to revolutionize the world of business application and enterprise application creation, right? Where no longer will we need to go through lengthy development or design processes, even though it is now already highly accelerated with the low and no code instruments and tools, but actually shorten the time significantly, make the rollout even faster than it is right now, yet not compromising on functionality and features that it might include. So have this completely new way, completely new vision of building applications. And then, of course, once the application has been built, right, to actually be able, through simple drag and drops, extending those features, extending that capability, right, by reusing, again, a library of ready-to-use components and item blocks. So this is what we really mean by composability. And I'm really hoping that this is as well going to capture the attention of our audience, right, attention of those citizen developers, and just people who understand the value behind it. And definitely let us know in the chat area if you share my and our excitement here in Creatio.
Well, Alex, I think I'll say yes, there is. I've been requested personally to identify a source for I Love Creatio bumper stickers. So I'm going to take that as an action item here. There was a question about how will this interact with existing configurations that customers have already made to their solutions?
Of course, as you know, we are following a 5-year release cycle, right? All of our features are rolled out gradually. And what we're going to be doing is, of course, preparing a massive update towards moving to this new way of providing the applications and architectures, right? Some of these features are already supported because you can already, using existing installations and environments, go to the marketplace and add another application or a business process template or just an add-on through the marketplace, right? Through an automated wizard of installation. So definitely things are going to be slightly changing, but we're going to make sure that none of our customers are affected, right? That their design is going to be maintained, not touched, and they will be easily using the new features and new functionality that are going to be rolled out.
I know we may be touching on this later, but the excitement clearly is building, which is always a good sign when you're showing product. We haven't gotten to the end and people are asking, when will this be available? When will it be available? So I've seen that question come up a few times. If you're going to touch on that later, great. Otherwise, we can tease it out now.
Yeah, we are, of course, we're going to mention the release date, right? But for now, we really want to just continue with the keynote, right? We've got a lot of more stuff that we want to announce.
Let's dive in then.
All right, perfect. So the next pillar of the product strategy, right? The people thinking and people-oriented thinking behind how those products are created. Now, we at Creatio, for maybe all of the time that we were on the market, we're receiving great feedback through our customer voice program on the user experience and the user interface that we provide. Right, we have significantly improved the user adoption of the applications across all of our customers, medium, large to enterprise organizations, improving their efficiency, improving their productivity through automation, through just, simple and clean and clear user interface. And we want to continue delivering the same feeling to our users and our customers by even simplifying the whole approach towards building the applications, towards how they are using the platform, how they are accessing this design style and this design mode. And this is where we're going to share just a quick overview, a quick sneak peek of how the creation of these applications is going to look like, right? Where through just a few simple clicks as a citizen developer, I can sign up with an installation with a new environment of Creatio. I can then create an application for my team, right? I can, with a couple of clicks, invite them all into the participation to have a little bit more of a co-development approach in building the app. And then actually start building the application through browsing through all of this catalog of ready-to-use application components, right? To be able to quickly use those templates and then have the system guide me through the design stage, through the design mode of the application. And this is where, again, we're going to be providing these updated design tools and how the users will be able to access those. Of course, within the same environments, they will have as well the general application settings, right? They will have the access to different design modes and different UI elements in the design. And of course, access to this ALM, application lifecycle management cockpit, where they're going to have a quick and all of the overview towards all of the areas of the product that we are going to be providing, to have self-service capability and really have a simple way of even self-onboarding through application creation, maintenance, and as well monitoring of their performance, right? So this is what is really behind the thinking of product-led design, where the users, without any additional help from the academy, through additional training guides, will be able to, within just a couple of minutes, start using Creatio and start building on top of Creatio platform. Okay, so moving forward to the last strategic pillar of the product development is our marketplace, right? And of course, marketplace is a huge part of Creatio product offering, because this is where we are providing a lot of applications, vertical solutions, add-ons, and connectors. And we definitely want to continue the development of marketplace through two key streams of the strategic development. First of all, through partnerships, deliver even more integrations that are going to be enhancing the core products and core capabilities straight away as out-of-the-box solutions or add-ons available in the marketplace, right? And of course, a huge part of this marketplace extension and development is as well enablement of our partners to create their own vertical solutions, right? That are going to be very specific to industries, to use cases, to usage of the system even, right? To have a variety, hundreds of ready-to-use pre-built applications based on our platform on its own, or extending or configuring our core CRM offering. And this is really what we have as a vision for the development of our product offering for this year. So to deliver the best design tools, to deliver the easiest way of building integrations, of course, the composability of the application, the product-like thinking, and the marketplace extension. And Andy, before we move forward, let's hear from the community. Let's hear from our audience on which pillars do they appreciate the most? What has touched their hearts the most?
Well, all right, audience, it's our time to jump in again. So which of these four, low code, no code, composability, product led, or marketplace? The poll is live. And while the audience looks at that, perhaps Alex, you could talk to us a little bit more, maybe provide some more examples when you talked about vertical solutions. I saw some questions coming through in the chat around, what are some examples around banking specific processes or areas where, and so I think maybe we can enlighten the audience and maybe share with them some of the things that have already been built and some of the things that are in the process now.
Sure, absolutely. So, as part of the verticals extensions and development, we're definitely talking about some industries, right, where Creatio is big in already, or those that we can actually be even bigger, right? And those are banking industries, well, general financial services, right? Insurance companies, BFSIs in their code as well. But then, as a vertical solution, we might as well consider applications that are designed for a specific way of usage, right, or use cases. So for instance, when we're talking about pharma sales, or if we're talking about life sciences in general, right, so those are specific industry-specific markets where you have to have specific data model configured, specific business processes, right, and enable users to operate in a specific way. And this is where we are really thinking about how to spread the love to Creatio across all of those industries and markets, right? And this is where we really value the help of our partners who help us deliver to those markets, right? And who actually are able to deliver themselves.
So let me ask you, do either of you have any money on any one of these as the winner? I'm taking a look in real time at the poll results. Mike, do you have a thought as to what the winner will be?
I have no idea. Maybe low code.
No clue. How about you, Alex? Do you have a bet?
I'm thinking composability and low code. So definitely no code, low code has been big with us, right? The vision there for us is very strong, and I believe that the first two ones will get the most votes.
Well, so far it is absolutely correct, and as the numbers tick in, it's a close horse race. Composability has almost reached 48%, and low code, no code is at 34. So they're battling it out, right? It's 2-1-3-4 in that ranking so far. So for the audience, please continue. We'll share the results as we go. But I think that with that, we're probably good to move on now that we have a good sense. I think composability, my guess is it's going to break 50% before the poll is complete.
All right, perfect. Well, I believe this is what we're also kind of hoping for, right? Because this is definitely going to be changing the world of no-code application design and low-code application design. But Andy, how about some questions that you've spotted in the chat area?
Sure.
Anything that caught your eye?
Yeah, absolutely. We haven't touched on this, and one of the questions is, what about AI? Are we planning on expanding the tools that are around this right now, and the ML tools? So machine learning are an area of interest for some of our participants.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are just some of the key areas of the expansion, right, and development. And of course, AI and machine learning models have always been a great part of our strategy, always, right? We have already reached a certain, incredible achievements with how the machine learning models are being created and managed in the platform at this moment. And of course, we're going to be adapting those to the new frameworks. We're going to be we're constantly collecting feedback from our customers and partners on how to make them even more user-friendly, right, more intuitive to use. And of course, we're going to be expanding the general capability of those tools, right, to introduce more types of machine learning, more features on the AI side.
with all of these new features and all of the, obviously, a wealth of areas that are going to be enhanced, there was a question around, will we be organizing any type of training around any of this, or sharing that out with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, we've got our academy services. We've got some amazing trainers who are constantly looking to deliver, new trainings on new features, new functionality. Of course, all of those new features are being thoroughly documented by the academy as well, right? And we are constantly looking to provide all of the knowledge, to spread the knowledge, right, on how to use our tool, how to build on top of Creatio platform.
And then I'll give you one technical question. So it's about integrating SOAP web services automatically based on web service description file.
And this is actually something that we have available, but we're going to bring this as part of the next section of the presentation.
Well, let's dig into that then. I think we're about, as I predicted, we are at 49% for composability and closing in.
Perfect, perfect. All right, let's move on to the second big part of our keynotes, right? We've talked about this strategy, and now we want to talk about the steps of how we're going to be achieving those, right? And one of the first ones that we're actually making here. So we're going to talk about the key enhancements of Creatio 7.18. And of course, the way that we're going to be approaching those is through digging into all of those areas of Creatio product offering, right? We're going to start with low-code and no-code BPM platform, and then talk about the CRM, talk about the business applications and vertical apps that we provide. And at this moment, again, I would like to ask my dear friend Mike to step in and to bring us through the studio updates.
Thanks, Alex. And I'm actually thrilled to present probably the most exciting part of 7.18 release, which is one of the steps in delivery of our product strategy to revolutionize the design of enterprise business applications. So guys, if you are ready, I'm presenting to you our brand new Angular-based no-code homepage designer. This is a huge step forward to implement our strategy to migrate all design tools to Angular. We have completely rethought the whole design from scratch. So new designer is super fast and extremely easy to use, and it brings a best user experience in design time and in runtime. So this designer will be used as a foundation of all of our existing and future Creatio design tools. So it follows the same approach of drag and drop and WYSIWYG style of configuration of summary screens and analytics for each Creatio application that we're absolutely sure that all of our users are gonna love and will highly benefit from using them. So it is truly incredible, and I know that you are all can't wait to give it a try. And but please stay tuned with us to the keynote, because we have a lot of other amazing features to announce.
Yeah, Mike, I've actually been keeping an eye on the chat, and I see it's just blowing up with excitement towards the new design tool, the new right? And I'm pretty sure marketing department is going to be quite angry with us if we're going to start losing audience. We're going to switch to our trials right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex. All right, so let us moving forward to integration. So we had an enhancement. So as a part of our strategy of creating a world of connected business applications, we are releasing a no-code designer for SOAP web service integrations. And now anyone can integrate Creatio with other apps over SOAP in a matter of a few clicks. And to make a design of any integration process as easy as possible, we also have added capabilities to test integrations directly from the web service designer. So we've also introduced a file management, a file element in the business process element to manage files and reports, which closes a huge variety of different cases, so without writing a single line of a code. So for example, you can automatically generate different reports and send them over email, or copy files from one place to another during your business process execution. We are also continuously working on providing advanced security features, and it is now possible to grant permissions to run a particular business process on a granular level per each user role. So this streamlines the permission setup flow and allows to secure and isolate various applications on a single Creatio instance. There are some major updates or platform enhancement. The first one is we've added support for Redis cluster, which is not only provides a fault tolerance, but also improves scalability and ensures the maximum performance. We've also added support for simple storage service, or S3 protocol. So from now on, all users' files and attachments can be stored in a separate storage. And so this optimizes the file access speed and storage cost. And also it gives access to almost like unlimited data volume. So since all files and attachments are going to be stored out of database, this also drastically reduces database size, thus improving maintenance procedures. And we also added LDAP connector on .NET Core, which will be beneficial for those who use Active Directory. All right, so on advanced configuration, we have improved our capabilities to manage packages or manage different package content, like to move move different elements between different packages, and then to execute multiple run different actions on multiple elements at the same time, like import export or install multiple data packages. And on a mobile side, we are constantly improving our mobile app, and in this release, we have added background data synchronization for iOS devices, so everything is done seamlessly in a background. We also have added ability to work with approvals in a hybrid mode, so now you can make approval even in an airplane, and as soon as you get an internet appears, data will be synchronized automatically. It was mentioned that all new mobile interfaces are created on a Flutter mobile framework, so this makes it possible to accelerate development and create applications faster than ever.
Mike, there was a question on S3. So
Right.
there was obviously a lot of love around that. I saw a bunch of comments. And is it possible to migrate existing files from Creatio to AWS S3?
Yeah, thank you. It's actually a great question, and answer is yes. So for our cloud users, all files will be migrated automatically, and they're also going to be a separate tool to migrate files from Creatio to S3 buckets manually.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, perfect. So we are getting closer to the end of our keynote, right? And we definitely want to talk about some of the key and exciting updates to our ready-to-use CRM business applications, right? And I'm going to be taking over here, and we're going to start with our marketing functionality, where first of all, our marketing team has been working quite a lot on introduction of the new user interface and revamped UI for the campaign management elements, and as well improvement of the user experience of working with the overview of the campaign itself and understanding, analyzing on the where exactly and how many exactly participants are within the campaign steps. Now, of course, they are extending into the email functionality, introducing email throttling, right? So easily customizable the frequency of emails. They as well have been working on improvement of tracking the number of responses to the marketing emails, and as well support for an email address validation connector that is going to be available through the marketplace. So a lot of our features are going to be added besides that, but we're just targeting some of the key ones on them. And of course, moving forward into the sales application as part of the forecast functionality enhancements, we are introducing the new drill down capability and feature that allows us to have a better understanding of the breakdown of certain values that have been brought to the forecast, right? If those are the sales forecast, what are the opportunities that we're actually contributing to the number? But then we will as well be able to actually configure, all of the additional data attributes that should be displayed and export those seamlessly into Excel for even, more in-depth and further analysis if needed, or just sharing it with your peers, right? And moving forward to the service application, we are continuously extending the functionality of omni-channel communications of the platform. We are supporting and connecting additional channels through chatbot integration for social media messaging platforms like Facebook, Messenger, right? We're as well introducing new channels of communications like Telegram, and also as part, even referring to our strategy of product development, right? As part of our strategy in developing, technology partnerships, with the help of Twilio partnership, we're now introducing a new channel of communication, which is going to be WhatsApp, right? And of course, this is going to be only the first steps in making and delivering the best-in-class applications and most connected, applications out there. And of course, there's been a lot more enhancements, specifically on the computer telephony, right, and other functionality features that are available, as already within the 7.18. And continuing forward, right, talking about the vertical applications, right, the vertical solutions that we've touched upon. Definitely, one of the areas of focus was to deliver AI-driven next best offer recommendations to the financial services application, right, with an improvement user interface that is going to be increasing the cross and upsell opportunities for the end users that are going to be working with these with the financial services application across both corporate and retail landscape. Of course, we are including additional updates to the product catalog management and how the product selection is being performed by those users, right? Specific to banking industry, specific to banking interests. And also the back to our marketplace strategy. I'm very excited, very proud to announce two amazing applications that have been created on the basis of Creatio products, which is Sales Excel for Creatio by Meredith Business Solutions, a geo-powered iOS application for managing customer relationships in field sales and other field activities, and also the Keen Solution Sales application delivered by Keen 360. Right, and it is already amazing to see how partners develop applications across different industries, across different use cases, using our platform, using our core products as a basis for them. And this really shows how our partners value our application and how we're going to be moving towards our strategy of product development for this year.
Alex, there were a few questions that popped in there that maybe we can take a quick shot at.
Absolutely.
Both MS Teams and social media integrations both came up as questions. So maybe you can just talk for a moment about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are in our product roadmap. Those are going to be released quite very soon, right? And those are going to be made available in the near time.
Excellent. Well, I don't want to stand between the audience and a live demo, so please.
Yeah, absolutely. So at this moment, let's have a quick rundown through some of those key areas that are going to be released, right, with 7.18. And let me just start sharing my screen once again real quick. First of all, we're going to start with the dessert, right? We're going to start with the new, incredible and new exciting home pages that are already available with 7.18 and all of the application design in Creatio. Now, of course, they are going to be coming as pre-configured out-of-the-box solutions right across all of those ready-to-use applications. But probably what is most important in them is definitely the whole design experience standing behind them, right? Where within just a few clicks, we can move to the configuration of different elements of the interface within the homepage. And as you can see, not only do we retain the way that we've been using the configuration tools of the dashboards, but we're also extending it quite significantly to make them even more personalized, right? And also introduce new ways of building those homepages through simple drag and drop, right, to adapt the view of the homepage to the end users within just a few clicks, a few areas of navigation, right? And also, another big area of the release was the design of the web services, where SOAP web services is as simple creation as a few clicks, right? And this is where we can also just select the files with VSDL and have the system read through all of the methods to populate all of the different parameters that could be used for the selection by the end user, right? And quickly reuse them across different business processes. So let's say just have this specific method saved if needed through the same design style as we had previously with REST to review how it was configured and even test the call to the web service. And once the design has been completed, move to the process engine, right, to use the web service elements and immediately reuse those pre-configured elements that we have in the application, right? And this is really our vision for this integration building. But also the management of files within the process is going to be as simple as well. Whether those are existing documents or those that we would like to generate through the process execution dynamically. So let's say to have a quote that is going to be generated for an opportunity automatically, right, or across any other use cases really, and send it as an email attachment, minimizing the manual work by the end users, making them more productive, more efficient through business process automation, right? And of course, this is going to bring us to a whole new level. And moving to the marketing and campaign side of things, of course, we're talking about this amazing user interface, right, that we're releasing, and how now within the overview of the campaign, you can drill down to the settings of each element, right, review their content. We can review how the audience is going to be moving through the campaign, and as well use a multiple number of new elements that were added to the campaign design features and functionality. And of course, on the server side, right, as part of our chat functionality, we're releasing new features across using merged fields as macros in using templated messages, right? And also can easily move to our chat configuration area and within just a couple clicks, introduce additional channels of communication through WhatsApp, right, and Telegram, which again is going to help us create a more connected, more omni-channel application that can be used across a lot of different use cases through a lot of different applications in business and enterprise world. And Andy, this is really everything that I had to show in such a short time. I know that we're on a tight schedule. So at this point, probably let's get back to our keynote and have some closing remarks.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for that. I'm watching all of the responses pour through, which has been amazing. And it looks like we have a final poll. Which Creatio update did you like the most? Oh, this is going to be a tough one. Low code, no code, CRM, or the vertical apps. Let's see how that comes through. And maybe you can just take a moment to talk about what everybody's number one question has been: is how do they get a hold of any of this?
So yeah, the cherry on top of this keynote, I would say, right? Well, guys, the 7.18 is already available on Creatio.com website. So you can easily just go to Creatio.com, sign up with a free trial for 14 days, and already start using all of those great improvements, all of those great features that we've been talking about so far. Of course, we've been talking a lot about the strategy and the way and how the tools are going to be evolving. And of course, all of those improvements and features are going to be brought gradually, with our 5-week release cycle, but we have a lot of stuff that is planned for the second half of 2021.
Wonderful. I saw a question that I'm trying to think back to some of the earlier ones, and I apologize to the audience. We will certainly not be able to get to every question as we go through this, but there was a question about, in our opinion, can a low-code tool become a core system for an enterprise? I can personally speak from experience that some of my customers have completely or in the process of completely redoing all of their operational solutions and systems that drive their entire business on us. But perhaps the two of you can weigh in as our evangelists.
Well, I'm going to step in first, and I'm going to let Mike kind of echo on my message. But I personally believe that they should be the core applications of the enterprises, right? The enterprises should have all of the required tools to adapt, to create, those applications, those business processes, and cover all of those different use cases that their users face. So it is quite critical for companies to start thinking about adopting a low-code or no-code, more about no-code application as a foundational business application for them.
All right. Well, I want to be respectful of time, so let's just, I'll take a look at the poll here, and it is a true horse race, but right now in the lead is low-code, no-code platform with an exact 50% at the last chance I looked, and shortly behind that CRM with 42%. So that was where the horse race was. I'd like to take a moment and thank both of our evangelists here, product and technology evangelists, for coming on and sharing with us all of this. Certainly, this was as exciting as we'd led everyone to believe, given the chat records we've seen. So I hope we didn't, when you announced that it was on the website, I hope we didn't lose our entire audience going to do a quick download, as we're about to enter into a very exciting third section of our 3-in-1 event. So let me thank you both, gentlemen, for your time, and we'll move on to our next section.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much. And thank you all for your time.
Thank you all.
I'm going to leave this screen up for a moment as we pivot, and as our if there are any new attendees that are just joining us, we've just completed our 7.18 platform review. More information available. Register now for a free trial. Hopefully the excitement will continue beyond, and we'll all be here to answer questions. Wonderful. Let me step through to and announce real quick as we transition. This event here that we are wrapping up on our will be followed by another really big global event that we'll be conducting June 1st through 14th for our Low Code Marathon. This will be a 10-day event, over 50 speakers and over 1,200 minutes of insightful, wonderful content that is going to be delivered. Can't wait to have all of you join that. Please use the QR code here or go to our website, register today. There will be something for everyone and a very detailed agenda going across. There were questions about industry verticals, content, a lot of the questions that were asked earlier about becoming a low-code company. All of these will be answered and more. So please join us again on June 1st through 14th for our next big event. So for the remaining 40 minutes that we have for today's session, our thought leadership live discussion, I am pleased to be joined by these three colleagues: Rebecca Wetterman, CEO and principal at Valor; Barton Goldenberg, founder and president of ISM; and Brent Leary, co-founder and partner of CRM Essentials. I'd love to allow each of you the opportunity to please say a few words, share a little bit about your background, how you came to be an expert in this space, and then we'll dive into a live discussion. I have a few questions, but I would love to hear questions from the audience as we proceed and get as many of them in front of you as we can. So please, if you'd introduce yourself, maybe we'll start with Rebecca.
Thanks, Andy. It's great to be here today. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Delighted to be here to talk about what has been a long time coming in the evolution of a code. As an analyst in the industry, I've covered CRM and software development for the better part of 2 decades. And I remember when we talked about web services making things easier and cloud making things easier. And now we're at a point with low code where we've seen the pieces come together. And there's a lot of opportunity for business users to be the ones that are actually managing the digital transformation, taking that disintermediation of the app. So I'm excited to be here and excited for the discussion today. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And then how about Barton?
Well, Hardy, good morning or good afternoon to all of you. I'm very happy to be here with Brent and Rebecca, and I'm honored to be amongst this panel. I've spent the last 36 years of my life working in what was today called the CRM, or customer engagement, customer experience space. Certainly wasn't called that when I began. But over the years, whether it's process improvement or change management or application of technology, ISM has been helping companies around the world with applying technology to business practices. I'm an author of 3 books on CRM. I'm a columnist for dozens of years for multiple magazines. I speak publicly on many issues. And I'm a great believer in what Creatio is trying to do, which is why I'm agreed to and I'm honored to be a part of this panel. This low code, no code, and some of the implications of it are really important for all of us as we move forward in enhancing customer engagement and experience.
Excellent. And certainly not least, Brent.
Hey, I'm just glad to be here. Brent Leary, coming to you from Atlanta. I've been, well, Barton is 36. Rebecca is 2 decades. I'm like in between, okay? So you can tell by the gray in the beard, I've been kind of focused in this space for a while. And yeah, I call myself like an industry watcher, observer, analyst, whatever you want to call it. But it's really a fascinating time from CRM to customer engagement to CX. And now we're talking about actually letting people who interact with the customers, give them the tools to actually let them do it the best way possible. So I'm looking forward to this discussion as well.
Excellent. Well, I think maybe a good place to start is we started today's session going over our first annual survey of this space, and then we've certainly shared our vision. But as the 3 of you are luminaries in this space, I'd love if you could share, and certainly any of you or all of you can contribute to these answers here. I'd like to understand your view of the low code, no code technology trends for the coming year or so.
You want me to jump in? I can jump in
Please.
first.
I think you ought to jump in since it's your data. It is great report, by the way.
So it's exciting to see Creatio kind of take the lead in pulling some global data together. And what we see is that low code is a global phenomenon. It's not just an innovation in one area. And the other thing is the low code as a technology, a lot of the capabilities have been around for a long time. What we're seeing now is really the ability to bring it together. And that's because of 3 things, right? That's because of cloud. I can access it from anywhere and turn it on cheaply and quickly. It's community. I can find other users who can explain to me how to do things and gain enthusiasm for what I'm doing. And communications. The vendors are doing a good job both of marketing what they provide and providing the training, support, information, documentation. So it's not just an insider's world anymore. And that makes low code pretty exciting.
Barton, maybe I can ask you, how you see maybe these trends applying to the world of CRM, given all of your expertise and time spent in that space.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to just build on what Rebecca has just said. There are literally thousands of companies, some of the best run companies in the world, that really haven't figured out how to make the move over to a tighter relationship with customers in our increasingly digital era. And I think that the COVID-19 pandemic has really forced companies and customers to ask basic questions. How fun or easy is it to do business with this company? And from a company perspective, how much are we filling the needs of the customer through whatever we're offering them, particularly digitally? And what we find is huge disconnects between sales, marketing, and customer service core processes within a company, how they work within themselves, and then across sales, marketing, customer service, and then how they interact with back office or other systems, be it inside the company or outside the company. All by way of saying CRM is really must and has been transitioning to a whole new level. And low code and no code becomes very critical because business people, they don't have the patience to wait for an IT shop to kind of get their act together and support this emerging way of the customer behavior and dealing with the customer. And so I'm in the middle of several projects where we've done the end-to-end mapping of the company's sales, marketing, customer service processes. And now you're back to we're ready to put that into a particular CRM type system. And yet the company's falling flat in its face because they don't have the developers to do it. There's a disconnect between IT and business as to what's really needed. They're not thinking this way. So I think that what we're seeing is low code, no code really opens up a whole new opportunity for CRM, and particularly the developers that are working with CRM, whether it's at Creatio or elsewhere, to really come up and step up to a whole new level where we're beginning to build systems and applications and leverage existing applications and really beginning to move out of what was an antiquated way into a new digital way that makes sense and can be done quickly, efficiently. Customers are happy, costs drive down inside the corporation. I think it's a really big game changer.
Maybe we can piggyback on that and turn to you, Brent, with the how do you see the low code, no code preparing enterprises for the next unknowable, right? So we had COVID, but now it's the unknowable future that everybody's kind of front of mind given what we've just experienced.
Excuse me. I think the technology is, the pieces are coming into place, and what you guys are doing is a part of that. But I think it's really the mindset and the ability to recognize that we can't do things the way we've always done them. I mean, overnight, what was it, April of last year, overnight, or maybe it was March of last year, overnight, people who were used to going to the grocery store they couldn't go, they couldn't leave the house. Right. So they had to do things differently. They had to shop for their groceries online. And some people thought, I would never do this because I like going to the grocery store. I just don't want to, turn on a computer and get my asparagus or something like that. But what happens is when they were forced into doing it, some of those folks found out, this isn't all that bad. And now that we're opening up and things are starting to, get a little bit like they were before, some of these folks are like, you know what? I think I'm going to still continue to shop online and buy my stuff online because, wow, I didn't know how great it was. I think because there was this thing that happened that made us change. And then once we found out, hey, this change ain't that bad, you're going to see companies having to kind of take that approach as well. It's like, okay, yeah, we might have had to been forced to do certain things, but now that we see, the benefits of this, how do we, continue and make things better and easier and using like these no code, low code platforms to be able to do that, to let business people that interact directly with customers have them, have the tools and the capabilities to be able to do these things without having to go the traditional route. So I think, we had this kind of this 2-phase of digital transition, which is, all right, we want to, these manual processes. Yeah, we want to automate those things. Mm-hmm. We just want to make them more efficient. What we did, we want to make it more efficient. That's like the step one. But right. Now with, the capabilities and these nice user design experiences, you're going to see them say, well, we can actually do things better now. How can we take these things, and they're easier to use, to do things that we couldn't have dreamed of doing before, and we are able to do it, not just waiting for IT. So I think eventually you're going to see a real significant shift in getting more of those end users. So I think the survey said only like a small percentage of folks are not IT. It's like maybe 1 out of 3. I think you're going to eventually see that shift because once they get their feet wet with this, the Katie bar the door is going to be off to the races.
I'd like to piggyback on that thing because so one of the questions from the audience, and I'm assuming this was probably from somebody in IT, it was very interesting and piggybacks on that. It says, in this low code reality, who should be responsible for customer experience, IT or business, that they would outsource this with pleasure as to their customer facing teams, but they're just not sure of their readiness. And given that you all are having, many, many conversations with organizations going through just this, conversation internally, would love to get your insight on that.
I would say it's both. It's business and it's IT. And I think one of the things that we've seen with the change in the past year with customer service and customer experience is there's a blurring of the lines between what those teams look like. Whether it's business people working in a low code environment or outsourced agents working in the same frame of communications and applications as in-house agents who are now effectively remote as well. So I think what we see with the technology is a great leveler and the opportunity for greater collaboration in ways that weren't possible before, when there was a line for business, there was a line for IT, they met for their development and spec meetings and then went off into their own corners and did their own things. There's a lot more opportunity for collaboration, and because we're digitizing these things, putting those processes in technology, then we can track them more easily, whatever side of the census we're sitting on.
I would slightly challenge Rebecca on just one thing. I actually think customer experience still remains in the domain of the business side of the house, because at the end of the day, if they are not keeping customers happy, if customers don't find it easy to do business, if all the whole customer interaction. Now, it's not to suggest, and Rebecca pointed this out, the IT and business now works as a team. But ultimately, at the end of the day, if you want to look at a balanced scorecard, the business owns the customer experience and customer satisfaction in my books.
I think it's a win-win. I think giving the tools to the end users to be able to easily do things that they've always wanted to done. I think that takes a lot of the effort off of IT that, this stuff is kind of easy for them to do, and they'd rather get into the bigger issues and deal with some of the things that are, kind of the bigger challenges that they got into IT for. And I
Right.
think having these tools, having the no-code, low-code platform allows them to kind of shift the work that is probably better suited to the folks that are on the front lines working with customers, and allows the IT folks to really focus on the bigger challenges that make this a really great win-win partnership, because now they're each of their work is more aligned with really the challenges that they need to be dealing with head on.
I'm glad you framed it that way, because that's certainly what we see as well. And I think far too often, literature in this space kind of pits these two organizations against each other as if it's one or the other. And to your point, they both have missions and they'd like to stay on their mission, and this enables that, right? I mean, as opposed to pulling them across into these other areas. So we had a conversation earlier, which may have been a little bit provocative one, around low code versus no code. It'll be interesting to hear the three of your perspective on, do you see no code ultimately taking over the merging of these, or some other future version?
I think there will be always things that we need coding or low code to accomplish. I think what we will see is a lot more that we can do with no code, and a lot more demand for no code as a part of any platform that I look at for applications. So I'm not looking necessarily at, do I pick an application that is best for my developer environment, or best for, if I'm a particular shop anymore. I'm instead looking at how effective their no code and their platform capabilities are.
Can I just build on what Rebecca said?
Please do.
Shows just deep insight. So I'm working on a global key account management program for a global corporation. And we're using software platform, kind of would probably call it low code. And it has the key account management concepts built into the actual application. And yet what we're finding is it's not as flexible and as easy as everybody would want it to be. The business folks are getting a little frustrated from having to learn a certain tool that they really don't feel comfortable with. The IT shop is right behind them, and as kind of both Brett and Rebecca have talked about, are working hand in glove with the business world. I'm actually very interested in the opinion of the panel as to whether business people, in this case, global key account managers responsible for hundreds of millions of dollars worth of business, what is their role in 2, 3, 4, 5 years in terms of getting their global key account management program off the ground? And I'm using that as an example. There's thousands of processes in the company, but how much of this work should businessmen and women be doing literally in a no-code world? I find it a very fascinating topic.
That is a good question. I think, as more transactions and interactions go from kind of the traditional way to the digital way, that's going to provide so much more data to play with. And I think that's what it's almost like, cash is king, or was king. I think data is king. And I think when you're giving these folks the tools to aggregate data, analyze the data, find insights, leverage those insights in the experiences and interactions, that makes the game a lot more interesting to the business folks. And giving them these tools to be able to even extract more data and to make their job easier and more focused on the interaction or the transaction versus all the things that kind of lead up to that. I think that's where the business folks really start to get interested and want to do more and more and more of this stuff.
No sales manager ever said, I wish I had fewer insights about my customers. And I think what we'll see
Indeed.
is, as we can put more hands into the tools of people, the national inclination of sales leaders to seek more insights. Traditionally, that's been hampered by the ability to IT to deliver data and insights back to them, and that hurdle is going away.
It's all a very good point, and that is particularly on the front line. Those that are really working with the customer on a day-to-day basis. They really do need to be able to quickly compile, analyze, and make better decisions based on that plethora of data that's coming in. And I think both Rebecca and Brent are pointing that out. I'm not sure if that's I guess that's a low code. Is that a no code? Rebecca, you know more about this than I do. How do you read that?
Well, I think you bring up an important point, Barton, that the beauty's in the eye of the beholder these days and what a low code or no code environment is, right? If I use Squarespace to manage a website, is that low code? Is that no code? If I'm putting pieces of HTML in it when I need to, what am I dealing with then? And I think that the same thing is true when the enterprise looks at low code and no code apps today. I think there's still a lot of education in the market and a lot of different views on what needs to be in an application for it to be a low code and no code platform, which is why the vendor communication and the marketing and the research is so important.
Are you seeing, Barton, a transformation in the CRM marketplace based on these conversations and the rise of low code?
So that's a great question. I actually have been thinking about that. We got to go back to some very core building blocks in CRM. And I'm going to answer your question that way. Okay. So at the absolute core, and it's not totally fully understood by even the very best CRM implementation around the world, is the concept of a holistic customer profile. Mm-hmm. So, I always refer to it as a daisy, like the flower marguerite, and you put the customer in the center of the flower. And then the petals of the daisy are information about that customer. They could be, simple information. When do they like to be called? How do they like to be approached? What is the contact name? What is the pecking order? What's the organogram? It could be latest call reports, latest complaints, service issues resolved. It could be marketing campaigns, what they responded to, what they didn't respond to. It could be training that they've taken, et cetera, et cetera. And that profile to any executive or, for that matter, frontline person that touches the customer is a critical way of making sure you deal holistically and effectively with that customer. So let's just assume for a minute, and it's too big of an assumption, but let's assume that you put into place a great customer profile. And there's lots of reasons why people don't put into place effectively. It's a business process. What information do I need to gather on the customer? What don't I need to gather? Who has the right to put information in? Who can drop information? A flower grows. You pull out petals, new ones grow in, and so forth. But that's the reason why companies haven't been able to totally put together, the type of customer profile many of them hope to. Now let's go to bring it to the low code, no code. So let's think about this for a minute. We talked about digital growth, whether it's shopping for asparagus, as Brett pointed out, or otherwise. We live in an increasingly digital world. So we have to listen more carefully to our customers. We have to be able to get a two-way dialogue going on with our customers. We are not always the subject matter expertise. Very often in a peer-to-peer exchange on a digital customer community, the customers are smarter than we are. We are one voice in that community as the company's subject matter experts, but so too are the customers in exchanging information with one another. So CRM, that profile, now needs to be able to know what's going on inside that digital community. The customer was on the community such and such a date. They talked about, asparagus buying online. They had these feelings and they were disappointed, but they said, I really wish I knew how to do it better. Well, that digital community is going to feed that lead, that opportunity right down into the Creatio CRM system as a lead. Is going to go out to the salesperson, and they may call up the account and say, hi, I saw you were on the community the other day talking about how you can better buy asparagus. Maybe I can help you. So we need to begin to integrate, in this case, a digital customer community, not so much into the CRM. That's not what CRM is going to do, but the knowledge coming from it, the opportunities, the insights. need to be fed back into the profile. So when we next touch the customer, we have deeper insight into what is important to them, what we can act on, etc. I'll give you just another example. Okay. Increasingly in a digital world, we're taking customers, if you will, on what I might like to refer to as a simulated business experience. So if I'm going to go, I have one of my customers is a blueberry, the biggest grower of blueberry bushes in the world. Now, it's very hard to go visit blueberry bushes as you sit on your desk, but if I could have you put on some Oculus 2 glasses right now, virtual reality and augmented reality glasses, and I could take you to the blueberry bushes in Oregon, or in Verona, Italy, or in South Africa, or in Peru. If I could take you virtually and you could begin to explore and look around and feel have this simulated business experience, and I'm capturing what you're doing as you're doing it in the profile, again, I better understand where you're headed, what's important to you, etc. So I don't think that CRM becomes the all-encompassing app. I think it has its role in being the interface between the company and its customer, but I think lots of other applications feed in. And that's where low code, no code comes in to integrate all these things. But the biggest thing that we talk about in the executive world is the insights we gather about the customer through the community, the insights we gather about the customer through augmented or virtual reality. All of these insights, by getting closer to the customer, listening carefully, and then being able to analyze the data, as Brett and Rebecca talked about, and put it to use so we can sell, market, and service more effectively.
Those were amazing insights. Thank you so much for that, Barton. I really appreciate it. And I want to pivot back for a moment because I'm seeing a lot of chat come through. So first of all, Rebecca, a lot of great feedback and comments about your work on the report itself. And so maybe a question for you and Brent that came through is, what do you see as the best way to increase the adoption rate for low code, specifically in IT?
The adoption rate for low code in IT. I think that it's the business users we tend to think more about, but I think what we're seeing as low code becomes capable of supporting more complex applications and more complex issues, that there are going to be opportunities that are going to be interesting to folks on the IT side, just as when we saw cloud initially wasn't of interest necessarily to IT. So as low code can support more complex transactions, and the business works more closely with IT and looking at governance of low code platforms, and there's going to be more of an opportunity for IT to get involved. But the governance part is something that we should be thinking about now. And it's a really important part because I'm old enough to remember when people built Lotus Notes databases to have custom apps, and somebody would retire or move to a different job, and that app would stay wherever it was, and nobody touched it because nobody knew actually how it had been built or what was underneath it or what the interdependencies were. And I think those of us who lived through that know that it's important to have a democratized development environment, but to make sure that somebody knows where the keys are. So I think what we'll see is more of a role of IT in looking at how do we drive best practices adoption, how do we maintain governance, how do we maintain data security and integrity as we think about connecting these back-end data sources and applications with front-end low code.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think the best way to get them interested is to say, hey, look, these business folks, they're going to take a ton of that kind of stuff off your hands that you really didn't get into IT for. This is going to allow you to do certain things and to have more control over how the overall runs, the scaling issues, the security issues, some of the things that you really kind of got into IT and you really sink your chops and go deep into this stuff, while the other folks are able to handle certain things that is probably best in their hands. And I think the other thing too is things are just accelerating. I mean, to need to be able to do things quickly and to be agile, and these platforms allow for that to happen. I mean, you have, we talked a little bit about overnight you had to go, shop online for groceries versus what you had to do before. So that accelerated the trend that was already happening. But the other trend that has already happened, and I think is maybe one of the more significant ones, is this trend for people that want to subscribe to things and not want to own things outright. They want access to it, and they're willing to pay a monthly fee to do that. And in order for that to work, that means that you have to stay connected with their needs month over month over month, and there's more interaction opportunities, and there's more data to play with, and more agility needed to do all these things. And those are the kind of issues that I think IT is interested in. But it only works if they're able to free it up to do the kind of forward-looking technology need analysis, while the business is over here creating new business models and subscription offerings that they have to meet in the middle in order for this to work. And so I think that's where the benefit is for some of this stuff.
Excellent, thank you. So let me start this next question with you, Brendan. We'll go out from there. This came from the audience. What's the most effective transformation initiative you've seen within the organizations you're working with, either done to adapt to the pandemic crisis or to get ready for post-COVID? It'd be a good question for all the panelists, I think. These are good real-world examples.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest ones is the ability to go. I'll stay with I don't like asparagus, but I'll keep going here. The transition from people shopping in store to people shopping online, that posed not just a challenge to the individual, but it posed a challenge to companies, particularly companies that are used to selling their stuff in the retail outlets. Now they had to build a direct-to-consumer channel. So I shouldn't say they had to. I should say it was a great opportunity to do it. Of course they had to, but I think the way you look at it is, man, this is an opportunity for us to get even more connected with our customers, to have more direct communication, to have more data flowing through us, to have more opportunities to analyze that and really understand what they're looking for, and then have a way to interact with them either through another social or a subscription service, some kind of other experience that they could offer, or just better interactions with them. So I think, I saw the initial rush was like the hunker down, but then what happened next is, there's a company that was a travel industry company. They literally made 98% of their business off of helping businesses, arrange their travel, flight, hotel, all that kind of stuff. Well, overnight their business went down 97%. But what they did was, because they had really good relationships and were able to interact with customers, even when the customers weren't buying their stuff, they asked their customers, what can we do for you guys? So they started interacting, started having all these different meetings. And then what they found out is their companies needed their customers needed expense tracking help. They didn't like the stuff that was out there. So while their main business was down 97%, they took a couple of months to create a whole new travel expense tracking tool, or just expense tracking tool, and they offered it to their customers because their customers actually helped them co-create and co-invent it. And so within a couple of months, they had a whole other revenue stream that was coming in. And while they waited for their traditional business to come back, and it's already starting to come back, they had enough of a touch and a connection with their customers that they were able to create a whole brand new offering, a subscription-based offering, and it helped them stay afloat.
That's an amazing example. Rebecca or Barton, do either of you have one you'd like to also share with the audience?
I just share two quick ones. There's one that Boston folks will appreciate, what New Balance did to completely redesign their re-engineering. Putting masks out of a shoe factory is not a small task. And what they were able to do was not just change the assembly line, but completely redesign their engineering and design process, where normally it would have taken months and months and months and weeks of in-person meetings with different folks in the supply chain. They were able to move everything virtually and manufacture in a matter of weeks. So pretty fascinating. I think the other area where we're seeing a lot of transformation happening is in the contact center. Those folks that had already moved to cloud did a tremendous job of moving workers remote very quickly. Those who hadn't moved to cloud yet had bigger challenges. And I think those two examples and those two stories kind of highlight the big role that culture plays in all of this. What we've seen in the past 12 months is people say we have to change culture because of necessity. It's much harder to change it when I'm not being forced by a necessity. And that's where we're going to see the interesting transformations moving forward as people realize there were a lot of things that I did in the last 12 months that we could have done for 10 years, but it just wasn't the way we did things.
Right.
Excellent.
I would, I'd like to come back to something I've said a little bit earlier on. One of the interesting phenomena that's going on right now is the old model of I manufacture, I distribute through, it could be retailers or wholesalers, ultimately retailers and the consumer. That's being challenged. It's been challenged for 10, 15 years already with the travel industry and travel agents through bookstores and Amazon and all these. You see more and more of this, the shrinking or the disappearance of the middle person as we go from manufacturer to end customer. It doesn't fit all businesses, but more and more are looking at how can we create that direct connection with our customer and how can we service our customer in better ways. And I wanted to tell you a story. I call it a digital hotel. It's one of the world's largest oil and gas companies, the global oil and gas company. You would all know it very well. And they are the typical, we manufacture the gas or the lubricant, we sell it to our distributors, and then ultimately that gets sold at, it could be gas stations or auto shops, and ultimately to you and me that put oil or lubricant or gas or whatever. And that was a fairly complicated model. And they came to realize in the pandemic that if they weren't in touch with every member of that distribution channel, if they weren't sensitive to changes in the distribution channel, they were really going to be in difficult situation, because if somebody else understood the end customer better, they'd lose the customer's loyalty. And so they put into place a digital hotel. On the ground floor of this digital hotel, which is, by the way, a big private branded digital customer community, but on the ground floor was the lounge. You could go in and, you could take a survey or a poll. There was gamification. You could get into a forum or a discussion. You could show videos, solve problems, ask the expert questions. That was the ground floor. And you could go to the bar and have a digital drink. On the second and third floor of the digital hotel, they have what are conference rooms. So they have technical conferences, sales conferences, distributor conferences, all different kinds of conferences. And those people get invited to, and they engage just like you or I do in a conference. But the most important development was the private rooms that were built on top of the conference rooms in this really tall hotel. And there's 900 individual private rooms, and the customers meet with their sales reps to do their annual sales plan or review their sales plan, to meet with a subject matter expert from within the company or outside the company. And all of a sudden, we're using this digital technology to have the one-on-one relationship with the customer, to have the conferences, and on the ground floor to be able to really just share ideas and exchange ideas with people. We've added the equivalent of the Zoom or GoToMeeting or link the various buttons that allow people to have collaboration within the hotel in this particular company. And now they're looking at the whole idea of bringing in that augmented and virtual reality capability. So the bottom line is, as companies have understood the shrinking of the distribution channel or the need to know their end customer better, there's all kinds of great tools that are coming, have come, will come to help drive that. This is just one of them, the digital hotel that I work on.
Amazing. Well, I want to thank you all. I think we're just about out of time. Amazing panel conversations. Really appreciate the real world examples, your insights and advice. So let me thank you once again for all of our participants for that, and encourage everyone to reach out to you as well to continue the conversation after the session. I think we just have a few closing remarks for our guests here that I'll continue and move on here. We want to invite everyone to continue to explore the solution that we've offered that will hopefully yield all the results that you've heard through these conversations here. So please go online, register for your trial today, or reach out to us and we'll help you answer all of your questions. If you'd like to learn more about this or more topics around low code, no code, Creatio, business transformation, business process management, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are prolific creators of content. And as a reminder, I'll also share with you, we have our upcoming event on June 1st to the 14th, our low code marathon of 10 days of continuous education and entertainment for you, and we look forward to seeing you there. So let me again thank all of our panelists, all of our speakers, and all of you as guests for your active participation. For our speakers here, there were plenty of a lot of love pouring out for you, so hopefully we can get you a record of the chat. Thank you all, and we'll see you again at our next event. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.